Imagine this one morning. A poor laundryman in a small Georgia town sees something so unbelievable he can't believe his eyes. A full-grown elephant, flying across the sky, landing in the fields, and then disappearing like magic. He and his wife decide to follow it, and what they discover will leave you shocked, amazed, and laughing all at once. Stick around because by the end, you'll learn a magical lesson about greed, patience, and wisdom. And hey, if you enjoy this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible tales. Once upon a time, in a small rural town in Georgia, there lived a very poor but honest laundryman named Samuel Brooks. Samuel was known in the town for his hard work, washing clothes for his neighbors and passing travelers alike. Despite his poverty, Samuel had one unusual hobby. He loved watching the sky. He would often pause in his work to gaze at the clouds, the birds, and the endless blue, imagining all sorts of fantastical things. Samuel's wife Clara shared his curiosity about the world. Every morning, the couple would carry bundles of laundry down to the riverbank to wash clothes. It was hard work, but they found joy in their simple routine and in each other's company. One sunny afternoon, while Clara was spreading wet clothes out to dry, her eyes drifted upwards toward the sky, and what she saw made her gasp. There, soaring gracefully in the clouds, was an elephant, yes, a full-grown elephant, floating as if it were a giant balloon. It slowly descended toward the earth and then, just as suddenly, vanished into thin air. Clara blinked, rubbed her eyes, and looked again. Surely she must be imagining things. But over the next few days, the same phenomenon occurred. Each morning, as they went about their chores, they noticed the elephant appearing in the sky, descending to the fields nearby and disappearing again. The mystery fascinated them. What could it mean? Clara asked. Samuel, equally curious, replied, "Tomorrow, we must follow it and see where it goes. Maybe it's showing us something important." The next day, Samuel and Clara woke early and kept their eyes glued to the sky. As expected, the elephant appeared, gliding down toward the sugarcane fields at the edge of town. It began munching on the sugarcane leisurely, its massive trunk swinging back and forth as it ate. The couple hid behind a cluster of bushes, careful not to be seen, and watched in awe. When the elephant finished its meal, it started rising into the sky, preparing for flight. On a sudden impulse, Samuel and Clara rushed forward and grabbed its tail. To their amazement, they were lifted off the ground, floating gently as the elephant soared higher and higher into the air. As they ascended into the sky, Samuel's jaw dropped. Before them stretched a magnificent mountain, glittering as if sprinkled with gold, diamonds, and jewels. The treasure sparkled under the sunlight, reflecting a dazzling array of colors. Samuel and Clara's eyes widened in disbelief. They had never seen anything so magnificent in their lives. The elephant slowly descended onto the mountain, setting them down carefully. Overwhelmed by the sight of the treasure, Samuel and Clara ran forward and began collecting as much gold as they could carry. They were filled with excitement and a sense of wonder. They had never imagined they would find wealth like this. But night approached, and with darkness creeping over the mountain, they realized they could not carry the treasure home immediately. They decided to wait until morning. That night, they returned to the elephant and held its tail, allowing it to carry them safely back home. Over the next few weeks, Samuel and Clara gradually became wealthier. Their modest home transformed into a comfortable house, and neighbors began to whisper in amazement. How had a simple laundryman suddenly become so rich? Curiosity spread like wildfire. Villagers approached Samuel, asking him to reveal his secret, but he remained tight-lipped. One day, Samuel had to leave the town briefly for an errand in a nearby city. His absence gave a nosy neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, an opportunity. She approached Clara while Samuel was gone, chatting casually until Clara, perhaps inadvertently, revealed the secret of the elephant and the mountain of treasure. When Samuel returned, Clara confessed what had happened. He was furious at first. How could she have let the secret slip? But the truth was already out. The villagers, having learned about the treasure, came running to Samuel, pleading with him to take them to the mountain so they could share the wealth. Despite his anger, Samuel decided to go along, partly out of curiosity and partly to satisfy the villagers' demands. Early the next morning, the entire village gathered near the sugarcane fields, their eyes fixed on the sky, waiting for the elephant to appear. As usual, the elephant descended and began eating the sugarcane. The villagers whispered excitedly among themselves, plotting how they would grab the tail and claim the treasure. Samuel, eager but cautious, was the first to grab the tail when the elephant lifted off. The villagers, in a long line behind him, grabbed onto each other's hands, forming a chain. The elephant soared into the sky, carrying Samuel at the front and the entire line of villagers trailing behind. Everyone was buzzing with excitement. imagining the unimaginable wealth they were about to claim. When they reached the treasure-laden mountain, Samuel, intoxicated by the sight of gold, began to stretch his hands toward the glittering piles. "So much!" he exclaimed, letting go of the tail. The villagers, blinded by greed, followed suit. But the instant they released the elephant's tail, gravity took over. One by one, the villagers plummeted to the ground below. Screams and chaos filled the air. Samuel barely held on to himself, and even he almost lost his grip before catching the tail again. The elephant, now free of the greedy hands, soared into the sky once more, leaving the villagers scattered across the fields. They realized too late that their greed had cost them the opportunity for wealth. Samuel and Clara, however, had learned their lesson. They understood that greed could destroy even the most magical opportunities. They carefully collected only what they could safely carry, and then returned home wiser and content. This story, though fantastical, carries a clear message. Greed can ruin opportunities. The villagers' greed caused them to lose everything. Patience and wisdom matter more than wealth. Samuel and Clara's restraint allowed them to benefit from the treasure safely. Sometimes, magic rewards the careful and thoughtful. The elephant appeared for them because they were patient, respectful, and attentive. By the end, the village learned a valuable lesson. Chasing wealth recklessly can be dangerous, but approaching life with patience, courage, and prudence ensures lasting happiness. Samuel and Clara returned to their modest home, now wealthy but more importantly, wise. They continued their laundry business, helping the villagers in small ways, and shared stories about the magical flying elephant with children, teaching them about the dangers of greed and the power of patience. From that day forward, whenever someone looked at the sky, they remembered the story of the flying elephant and the treasure on the mountain. They smiled, hoping one day, with patience and humility, they too might encounter magic. But this time, with wisdom guiding their hands.